Hey, folks, my guest today is Guy Pearson. He's got more than a decade of experience in professional services. He's a chartered accountant, chairman of Interactive Accounting, a progressive accounting firm he founded in 2009, and an angel investor in multiple portfolio companies. Today, he's the CEO and founder of Practice Ignition, the world's first client engagement and commerce platform for professional services businesses. Guy, you ready to take us to the top?
Hey, mate, let's go.
Thanks for staying up late. I think you're based down there in Sydney, right?
I'm up early. It's 7 a.m. here.
Oh, my God.
We've got the coffee in. You've got your coffee in. I'm at the other end, mate.
Yeah.
It's all
Okay.
good.
Fair. Well, okay. So practiceignition.com is a site. Now, just to be clear, you are not a consulting company. You build software for consulting companies.
Correct.
I
That's
see.
100% right. I explained to my mum like Shopify for services, right? So if you think about it like that, we're the engine they use to run the revenue and payments and connect through the third-party workflows so they can have their tasks, billing, collections all tied together to a digital handshake. That's kind of what we do.
And so to help me understand, I mean, can you name a customer that's paying you and what they pay you for specifically?
Baker Tilly in the US would be one of the larger ones. Let me think about what else.
You said Baker.
Large CPA.
Sorry, Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly. So they're a large CPA firm in the US and Canada. And they pay us for software to help run their contracts. And accountants usually re-engage or reissue contracts every year, similar to sort of a phone plan, if we can dumb it down to that. And it's
Are you
almost
selling
like
mainly to accounting firms?
100% at the moment. 95% of our customer base are CPAs and bookkeepers around the world.
Interesting. Okay, so there is a sector focus here. It's not just any consulting firm in the world.
No, that's true. We do have some weird and wonderful customers in many different industries, like small ISPs, education providers, lawyers, digital agencies, marketers, etc. But the large primary bulk in our focus has been on bookkeeping and accounting, as every professional services business has a CPA or has a bookkeeper. So it's very much sort of let's solve their problem and then they can recommend it to their clients in the long run.
I see. Okay, that makes tons of sense. So what is the average, Baker Tilly, not actually Baker Tilly, but what's the average customer paying you per month or per year to use the technology?
They're paying us about US $400 a month for a mix of software and payments. So sort of a blended piece. The average software clip is about 150 US and the payments about 250.
Interesting. So what is the 250? Is that a percentage of the volume they process through your platform?
Correct. So we process both ACH and credit card in about 5 countries around the world: US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. And we've got a couple of $1 billion of revenue under management, and we process north of $1 billion annually at the moment. But obviously, that rate's sort of growing up.
Got it. So you process over $1 billion per year, and these are individual accounting firms like Baker Tilly sending invoices or quotes to their customers. When you add all those up, it's over $1 billion. You take a small cut of that.
Correct. So that's exactly how it works.
Come on, Guy. What's the cut? What's the smallest?
Smallest. We take about, it's on the website, so it's very easy to see, but the blended take rate for ourselves is about 50 bips at the moment. Okay. We're looking to push that up through getting the volume up there and negotiating on our cost side, but also just thinking about how we charge smartly for people, so people are feeling like they're paying the right amount for the right service. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is just make sure there's no administration, make sure they don't have to use another system, make sure the clients can see their payments and understand where they're coming from, and that everyone's kind of happy on the two-sided agreement.
Yeah, but Guy, look, just quickly, $1 billion in GMV at a 5% take rate is your lowest. That means at a minimum.
50 bits, 0.5.
Sorry, 0.5% take rate. Your minimum revenue there is $5 million there, right? If that's your lowest take rate, probably higher. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Yeah.
Thankfully.
That's good. How do people get down to 50 bips? Like, what do most people start at? Is it like 250 bips, 2.5%?
No, yeah. So the gross rate before we have to pay any of our providers is sort of, I think about 270 bips in the US on credit card. This is a headline rate. But we have a flat fee charge for ACH presently. And so if you're processing B2B payments, similar to say like a bill.com, but you're running it through us between the two parties, they're paying a fixed fee of maximum $1. Mm-hmm. And so obviously you get a blended rate, that take rate comes right down. And so, yeah, it's a fairly nice mix. We're just interested in being in the flow of commerce between two B2B parties and getting rid of checks, right? That's kind of our main secret sauce, and it's a great platform for removing that admin layer so everyone gets stuck in and has a good experience.
Yep. Now I want to get to the round you just did with JMI Equity recently, like literally a couple of days ago. But let's go back to like day one for a second. When did you guys launch? What year?
2013. We had an MVP out in 2012. But yeah, about 8 years ago.
Okay, well, about 8 years ago. And do you remember the year you broke 1 million in revenue?
Yeah, that was 2017.
27. Okay, so 0 to 1 million, 5 years. That's the struggle is real back then, huh?
Oh, mate, this is the devil. Trying to sell to accountants and bookkeepers, they're lovely people, but also trying to have the right level of product in terms of not too structured and flexible, and trying to find that balance is a real pain point, and it's a slog. I think we'd only raised about $2 million in that whole 5 year journey. So we had a very lean, mean team trying to figure out how to make things work and scale it up, and from then on, it's sort of more expansion capital and away we went.
Do you remember? Yeah, you did. I think you did like 3 seed rounds, 1 million in 2015 and 1.5-ish in 2 tranches in 2014, and then 110 angel round, I think, before that, right? Something like that.
Yeah. So we had like family, friends, and fools. So my brother, my best mate, and one of my old business partners at my old CPA firm. Then we had a bunch of angels, which was anchored by a guy called Craig Winkler, who's effectively like our Intuit founder, but just in Australia. And on the back of that, we then raised from Real Ventures, which is up in Canada. Now I'm based in Sydney, Australia, to sort of put how far we had to go. And so John Stokes up there, I read our first seed check and kind of split the round in two. And we had enterprise software listed company founder here lead the second part of the seed round a year later. So sort of split. And then it was on to Series A with Australian funding, particularly now it's great and it keeps getting better. But we had 4 VC funds and 2 billionaires write us a 5 million Australian dollar check to give you an idea. So it's 3.5 US. So at that point, we were like, you know what, maybe this raising thing isn't for us. We actually got through to break even in 2019 and sat down with friends and advisors and whatnot, and it's sort of like, well, where to from here? We had this much of the share of the market, we had product market fit, and we ended up going to look for the biggest and the baddest, and had Tiger Global come along to lead our Series B in 2019, which is phenomenal. And yeah, like you said, JMI recently. So yeah, if you look at the crunch base for us, it's like little bits of capital and kind of like big chunk and then bigger chunk.
Next it'll be $5 billion valuation. You guys are thinking a long time there.
Oh, mate, my mother would be so proud. But look, we're just out there to
take me back. I mean, managing dilution is obviously critical. You want to build a big business and also try and preserve as much ownership for you and your co-founders and your brother, your best mate, as you can over time, right? So when you guys went out and did that 3.6 USD around back in the Series A back in 2017, do you remember what valuation you raised that at?
Yeah, I do.
Was it very dilutive?
It was. So Australians, how would you put this? They like to see efficiency in capital deployment. As a mindset, we're used to profitable companies, and so when you've got something that's not profitable but growing quickly, people sort of struggle. We really needed the capital. We found great partners once the price was on the low end, but we also were sick of raising. So like, this is going to be our last round. So that obviously played into the price as well. But we brought on some great partners. So those people who joined us actually helped us get to the B round and onwards. So there's a mix of what if, would have loved
come on, Guy, come on. What's the number there? Are we talking like you sold like 20% of the business or like 30% of the business?
30.
30. Okay. That's not horrendous, right? I mean,
no.
It's on the high end, but it's not terrible.
I think it's because we don't ever really got 12 months capital, as you can see from our raise history, right? So it was sort of like the ongoing dilution and the small step ups in between each round up until the B and then the C. It was painful at the time.
Yeah. Painful, but now worth. You guys are scaling nicely. How many customers are you working with now today? Like Baker Tilly's?
5,000.
Oh my gosh, 5,000.
Baker Tilly would be on the high end, and we probably should stop using their name because they're sort of one of the largest in the world. But
okay, I'll stop using that.
So she's good friends of mine. Zen Accounting in Canada would be a good example of like a great customer that fits right on our ICP. So there's about 5,000 of those around the world that we're working with today.
Okay. And can I sort of get a range here? If I take those 5,000 customers times the $400 average ARPU, I mean, that puts you at like $2 million a month in revenue. Is that about right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And if that's where you are today, what is growth over the past 12 months?
It's funny. COVID's been an accelerator and a headwind for us because you've got accountants looking after their clients, doing forecasts and all these things they never would have done probably for years. And then you've got the wanting to get paid and having moved online. So we've grown at about 70+% last 2 years running. which is not terrible, but we would have liked to have grown more. And hopefully that's what's coming as the campus particularly look forward to getting paid and have taken care of their clients and now need to take care of their own business. And so what we're seeing is an acceleration, and we've made some really great partnerships recently to help us sort of conquer the US. So Gusto, Thomson Reuters, Intuit, PCG Group. So we're kind of off into the races, and we're looking forward to coming to bring all the goodness that we've got down here into the US market and ramp up that market there.
Tell me more about the team today. How many folks are full time?
100. It's changing a lot every week. We're north of 150. Okay. I think we'll finish the year at 170. Give you an idea of sort of the rate we're hiring at the moment. And we started the year at about 100. That's a good question. About 20. But we've got about 20 positions coming down the pipe in the next couple of days. So we're trying to ratchet it up. We went to market and scaled by making sure we took care of it in a manual way. So taking care of the customers on the post-sale side and learning what they needed. And then on the inbound side, we just had basically content for marketers driving people in for sales. And we're switching that gear into product-led growth to take them through the journey and still keep the team that we've built. And then adding on, I think our marketing team's gone from 4 to 20 people in the last 4 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're ratcheting on. Yeah.
And do you guys employ sort of outbound strategy? Do you have internal quota-carrying sales reps with like $1 million quotas or no?
We do. And that's probably roughly about right. But the ASP on an average deal is probably 175 US. And so they have to actually sell quite a lot of software to make that happen. So we'd have those folks, and they tend to stick to our two larger plans, which are still quite small. And then the base plan tends to be a straight flow through from marketing into self sign up.
What comes first? Accounting firm putting $1 of revenue through you and you making that in the percentage GMV, or them buying the software first and then adding on invoicing later?
First one. So they buy the software, they'll run through, usually like accountants, as you can imagine, have a system currently for billing and collecting payment. And so typically what they do is they send a contract out to one of their teams or their friend who's a client. They start there, they build up trust in the platform. As we start to manage the revenue, then they turn payments on. And the faster we build that trust, the faster they roll it out across their client base. The freemium model is something we tried way back in the day, and that did not work. As soon as we turned pricing or payments, charging everyone for the software, we had a whole bunch of emails going, oh, great, now I'll start using it. So big lesson learned back in like 2014 or 15. I was just like,
yeah. Well, the reason I ask is you're really well, I mean, some of the highest revenue multiples I'm seeing right now in terms of fundraisers, especially like a 50 million Series B, C, whatever, is net dollar retention being through the roof. And anytime you have a combined business model where it's SaaS plus a utility-based metric like percentage GMV, usually the NDRs are through the roof. I mean, do you guys have pretty high net dollar retention?
We do. Yeah. We're sort of, I think payments expands at about 130% a year every year. And then software is sort of industry standard.
Yep. So adding it all together with like 140, 150% net dollar retention across the base in both product lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hold that at scale, you think? Can you keep that up to $100 million in ARR?
Well, that's definitely the plan. But there's challenges along the way, right? We're just, I don't know, we've got a very loyal customer base that loves us, which is great. But obviously the challenges on us to keep building great software and help keep that retention level high and sort of bring more incentive for them to expand and bring the rest of the team into the mix as well. So we sort of make sure that it's a sticky product.
Yep. I mean, it sounds like you had great growth. Obviously, you did the Series A. It was a little dilutive. You probably learned from that. You probably never sold 30% of your business again. You waited for more in your both Series B and Series C, waited for something more competitive. But why raise? I mean, 50 million is still dilutive, right? Why raise it?
We had one shareholder that was wrapping up their fund. And so we used part of the process to sort of clear them out.
But also we wanted to secondary.
Yeah, we had about 10 mil secondary.
Oh, I see.
In the mix.
Only to that investor, or did you give early employees the option?
No, we actually, we did. So we made early employees, existing team members who'd been with us for a while and had options that were vested. They were allowed to cash out some. Myself and my co-founder took a few chips off the table.
Wait, Guy, hold on. How do you decide that? Like, if you sell $1 million of your personal shares, it's like a bad signal. But like, then you want to take enough where you're like financially safe and don't have to worry about shit, right? So like, how do you balance that?
Oh, I mean, I guess I'm a CPA by background, and so having the conversation with folks is like, look, if I don't have to worry about making a mortgage or payment at home, and banks hate entrepreneurs, particularly in this country, and so it's like, well, I can grab the house or buy the apartment finally, and then I don't have to worry about that side. Maybe have a small mortgage and I'm focused on the company, but I don't have the sort of pressures of home like I did in the early days where you've got personal credit card debt because you're paying yourself 20 grand, flying around the world, sleeping on couches, trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So the focus is just sort of laser in, and most people actually, particularly JMI folks, were great about it. Tiger was great about it. People are really supportive. They're like, you've been on a 10-year journey. We don't want you to burn out.
I'm hearing great things. So I've talked to maybe 7 founders that raised significant rounds from Tiger over the past 90 days. And everything I'm hearing is Tiger has been extremely supportive about allowing big chunks, even 50% of the rounds, to be secondary. So it's great to hear that from you as well, and that they've been great to work with. Now, in terms of valuation, most folks are, Series C, they're selling maybe 10-ish% of the business. Were you sort of standard there, or were you way lower or way higher for some odd reason?
We were a little bit higher.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, not dramatically. I think the dilution was sort of closer to 15%.
13%?
Yeah. So like I said, a little bit higher, not massively.
And did that mean, when you look at your revenue and then you look at sort of the multiple on that, did that sort of feel fair to you? I guess maybe a better way to ask that, did you turn down higher valued term sheets because you like Tiger and the secondary they allowed?
Well, JMI led this round. We turned down, when we did the Tiger round, we turned down, no, Tiger had the highest. When we did this round, we turned down higher term sheets to work with JMI. They backed Clio, ServiceNow, Point Click Care, so a couple of things. Verticalized software and payments.
Tiger was your B.
Yeah. JMI led out C.
Oh, the 2019, 10 million of the 20 million was secondary.
Oh, sorry. I'm back then it was 2 million of the 15.
Okay. So JMI let you take 10 out of the 50, and Tiger let you take 2 out of the 16 or 17 USD.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So we've done it in both rounds, mostly just easing burdens to people, buying a house, putting kids through school. We had a whole bunch of angel investors who backed us, like my best mate, my brother. It's like they're not really in this game. They were there to support me, so letting them sort of de-risk a little bit along the way, which is great.
Yep.
JMI it was about 4 million went to the team, 6 million was the buyout, Series A investor. So
any advice you'd give to founders that are going through this right now? This doesn't get talked about a lot, so I appreciate you being transparent. Would you manage a secondary any differently?
No, I think it's really important. So for us, being from Australia, having stock and options and valuing them at more than paper is not really a thing. So I think the biggest education for us, what we were trying to do, and wearing my accounting hat, was very much, let's put a price on these. Let's let some of the team sell some, so that they place a value on options. It's sort of been a new journey here in Oz as to how to think about that as an employee, as a team member. And so we really wanted to make sure that people thought it valued, and it wasn't just a piece of paper that might be worth something someday. And really, once again, just relinquishing pressure on the home front for the most part. So paying down debts, clearing out former option holders, letting them sell altogether if they wanted to, if they weren't at the company anymore, and just clearing out a bit of the option table. So the advice would be, make sure you take care of your people. I might be a smart individual on certain days, but realistically, I can't run or do the jobs that other 150 people do. So I think particularly, with the Great Resignation or whatnot coming up, make sure you take care of your folks. If they believe in the journey and they think you're looking after them, they'll stay and they'll back you up.
I can see why you have 150 people following you these days. People obviously love that approach. So that's great to hear. Round out the valuation story for me real quick. So we've got Series A, we've got Series C. What did you guys raise the Series B at?
What did we raise that? 50, just north of US 50.
Post money? Pre. Okay, got it. So 50 pre, call it like 50, 68, 70 post, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Great story there. Did you feel like you were at a disadvantage being based in Sydney, or do you feel like you got a same multiple you get if you were based in New York?
It's a good question. I think most of my American teammates who've been with us for a while think I'm disadvantaged because I didn't go to Stanford, to be frank. But no, not so much. I'm sure, there's definitely people like you being on the continent, right? So it'd probably be easier to raise certain rounds or have more investors interested if, they feel like they can fly and pay us a visit, much easier. But I'm quite happy building an Australian company. I mean, I'm not sure, got Canva, Campaign Monitor, Atlassian, Zeros from this end of the world. And all this kind of goes on. We're just trying to throw our hat in the ring and create another great company from this end of the world and bring that culture that allows 150 people to stay with us, to the world. And do it our way. Not super patriotic in terms of like beating my chest, but would really like to, sort of help us. Australia has a history of digging things out of the ground, farming things, and building things on top of it. Would really like us to sell our smarts. So that's the reason to stay down here. Also, great R&D incentives. So any developers that want a job coming out.
How big is the kickback? Shred in Canada is like 50. A 60% kickback. What's your kickback?
About the same.
Wow. So if you pay a developer, I'm making it up $200,000, you're going to get $120,000 at the end of that year back from the government.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very strong
so like I think Shred and our program are very much the same in that it's only on things that you build that are at risk. So not for maintenance and not for DevOps, but for like new feature development.
Yep. Very cool. On that note, Guy, let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite book.
The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I'm not sure he's the CEO anymore. Des Traynor, Intercom.
Yep. Number 3, favorite online tool?
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. I would just say G Suite. I can't imagine my life without it.
No, that's a good one. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night, except days when you're doing the 7 a.m. podcast?
About 6 to 7.
All right.
I get up super early.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Recently married. 2 weeks ago.
Congrats. Oh, wow. So that's exciting.
I got married the day after the round closed. So how's that for timing?
Holy mackerel. So I assume the honeymoon was nice. A little secondary money to play with. You rock and roll, right?
No, honeymoon's coming up. We had about 2 days off and we're going into planning session. So end of December. So I'm not sure if you have any Australian mates out there, but we don't really work between 15th of December and 15th of Jan. It's kind of like 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and August all tied into one. So gonna enjoy that.
Just married, about to do a honeymoon. No kids, or you have any kids?
No kids.
No kids. And how old are you, Guy?
37.
37. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
More patience.
Guys, he says he needs more patience. I think he has incredible patience. Launched in 2013. They've had patience enough for 5 years to go up to $1 million in revenue. Did 4 different sort of angel and seed rounds, but now they're scaling nicely. They're serving over 5,000. Think about like accounting practices, helping those firms scale with their consulting. They have dual business models, SaaS plus percent to GMV. They're processing billions now, over $1 billion per year, doing about a $24 million run rate across all their brands. Last raise just a couple days ago, 50 million Series C at a $330 million valuation, sold about, call it 13% with 10 million secondaries, taking care of his early team members, early employees. Guy, thanks for taking us to the top.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.